I'm back for one final segment with Paul Callow. He served 20 years in prison for 5 rapes he committed in Toronto in the mid-1980s and was released back in February. Paul, while you were in Mountain Institution, you talked about some sweat lodge ceremonies, some native spirituality healing services that you attended, and you said they were very, very healing for you, particularly in your view about women. Talk to me about that. How did that help you?
It's what I learned from the, like I didn't know much about my culture, but I started learning while I was incarcerated, attending sweat lodge ceremonies and listening to the elders, and they speak a lot in the sweat lodge, and it's not. It leaves you with a feeling as though they're directing what they're saying right at you, and I just know it's because we have similar paths, everybody in the sweat lodge, but it's, and they would talk about a lot of things, and they would talk about like respect for one, and having respect for your elders, and you know, so like anybody that's older than me, I got to have respect for them, and then it goes a lot farther into like we refer to the earth as Mother Earth, and it's you know, there's Mother Earth, Father Sky, Grandmother Moon, and Grandfather Sun, and the Star Nation, the universe, and this is all it's things that are very spiritual in the Aboriginal community. But at the same time, as referring to the Earth as Mother Earth, it gives birth to life, like all the life that we see, all the trees, the fish, the animals, all the wildlife, all the humans, like all living things, comes from Mother Earth, and so Mother Earth is like a doorway to life. And
for women in that sense.
And women, that's what I was going to get to, is that in the sweat lodge, it's very similar, and it can be said, and I've heard it said by elders, that it's like being in the womb, and that women are also a doorway to life, is that they give birth, and that we should have the utmost respect for the women, and of which I didn't in my past.
So that wasn't the place you had in your brain for women. Obviously, you saw them as other, as lower, as...
Yeah, and not only that, I objectified women very much, and it was a lot of, I didn't view them as a person and with a personality and who they were, and you know, it was more a physical. If there was a physical attraction, that was it. So it was more of objectifying, and I've, you know, like I say, through the sweat lodge and through discussing with the elders and just listening to their teachings, this is what I've been brought to believe. And then one elder even went as far as to say that rather than on your birthday expecting gifts, the good thing to do, because of your mother gave you the gift of life. So on your birthday, bring a gift to your mother.
Tell me about your forgiveness of yourself. Have you forgiven yourself for what you have done?
It's a tough. I've never really asked myself that question, but it's a hard thing to do. Like, I don't condone what I've done. I'm still to this day very ashamed of what I've done. I do wish that I could take it back. I wish that it never happened. I wish that I'd never committed these offenses. But at the same time, I can't dwell on it, because that's something that can lead me back into my cycle.
You want to be someone different.
You know, I don't want to say forget it and try and make like it never happened, because that's also important. And seeing to it that I don't do it in the future.
Do you have a sense of in your native spirituality, has God forgiven you?
I don't refer. I choose to say that there is something very powerful going on there, and I choose to call him the Creator. Now, it's, you know, people would just call it different names. Someone might call it God, someone might call it Allah, or whatever they might choose to call him. I choose to call him the Creator. And do I believe they've forgiven me? I think from some of the things that I've experienced in the sweat lodge, that have let me know that something very powerful is going on there, where I've never had any kind of beliefs my whole life. I'm not saying that's a forgiveness, but I think it's at least a handout saying I'm here for you.
You are coming to the end of your incarceration in the story, and you've done all this hard work, and they release you into Vancouver. You end up in a kind of a rundown motel, just a mess. You're feeling alone. You get a phone call from someone. Who's that phone call from?
That was my sister.
You hadn't seen her in how long?
It would be 20 years or more.
No contact?
No contact whatsoever, no.
Did you even know she lived here?
I didn't know she did, no.
So you get a phone call. What does she say on the phone?
Actually the phone call I received wasn't from, she called my probation officer, and so the information was relayed to me, but it was that she wanted to get back in touch, she wanted to offer assistance in anything she could do to help me, and it actually went over kind of not very well because the probation officer refused to give me the number, and it was...
Almost like he didn't want this to happen or something.
Yeah, it seemed like they didn't want the reconnection to happen, and it's, in my opinion, I think to be reconnected with family, and especially that's gone through, we've been through the same things in a dysfunctional family, and to have that support and to have someone that loves you and to have...
Yeah, let's explore that next. Tomorrow night we're going to have your sister on, and we're going to explore the whole story where it kind of comes out after you are let loose. Be sure to catch the show tomorrow night when Paul Callow will be back, joined by his sister Karen Bardak, who took him in. I'll be right back.